Thank you for watching our video. Please give us a big like, subscribe to our channel for new videos every day with amazing cars. Leave us your opinion in the comment section on the video. Thank you. While the Concours of Elegance may have been invented by the French, and we here in America have sort of kept the idea going for the last 7 or 8 decades, our European friends are fairly recently getting back into the idea of showing beautiful cars in spectacular settings. The Chantilly Concours, the Concours of Elegance and, of course, Villa d'Este and both Goodwoods are all examples of lovely automotive events held throughout Europe. The recent Heveningham Concours, now in its 3rd successful year, has to be added to that list. Appropriately enough, you pronounce it like heaven. It's like Heveningham or Heveningham, that is, with or without a silent second H, said the Concours Kitchener. Some people over here pronounce it hening-um, but the locals don't, so we go with that. It's held on the 5,000-acre Heveningham Hall Georgian estate in Suffolk, a place like Downton Abbey, only larger and more grandiose. It was built in 1778 for Sir Gerald Van Eyck, 2nd Baronet, a British merchant and Member of Parliament. It's all just like those TV shows based on Jane Austen novels, really. The sprawling grounds are being restored to their original Capability Brown glory. Capability Brown was an 18th-century English landscape architect whose real first name was Lancelot. But who wouldn't go with Capability as a first name, given the choice? Capability, working with fellow landscape architect Kim Wilkie, designed the semicircular grass terraces that form a sort of amphitheater facing the main house. They did that 120 years before the invention of the automobile, of course, so they couldn't have foreseen their present use. Somewhere recently, since the estate was purchased in 1994 by John Hunt and family as a private residence, someone wondered if you could park cars on those terraces. Turns out you could, after using carefully placed ramps to get the cars down from the steep sides of the terraces. Hence, Heveningham Hall offers a unique presentation of Concours cars, almost like a giant glass showcase without the glass. This year those cars included everything from Nick Mason's Ferrari 250 GTO and Peter and Merle Mullen's 1939 Delage D8 120 Cabriolet, which is seen carrying Gene Kelly into Paris in the movie An American in Paris, to an entire line of McLaren F1 cars. The 50 or so entries were divided into 3 groups, pre-war, post-war and supercars. Pre-war started with the 1896 Benz patent motor wagon, pronounced Vauban, a 1927 Bugatti Type 37, a 1937 Alfa Tipo B Mini Pistol, and, of course, the Mullins Delage. Post-war entries included an AC, Nota Shelby, Cobra, a Birdcage Maserati, a Bizzarini 5300 GT Casa and the 1960 Aston Martin DB4 GT Jet Coupe, and a Lister Coston Coupe, as well as several more modern Porsches and Ferraris. The supercars lived up to their category name, with a Lancia Stratos, a Porsche 911 GT1 Evolution, a rarely seen Pagani Zonda C12, a Koenigsegg 1:1 and an Aston Martin 6C Vulcan. And the winners in each of the 3 categories were, the Mullen Delage, of course, because Peter Mullen wins everything, Mason's 250 GTO, and Henry Pearman's 1987 Porsche 962 done up in proper Rothamans livery. There was also a competition at the show called Horsepower Hill, a sort of British burnout contest for cars that wanted to shred rubber in what we would call a distinctly American fashion. Or maybe it was more Formula Drift. That was won by a high-horsepower 2013 Bugatti Veyron 16.4 Grand Sport Vitesse. But it wasn't just the 54 cars that made up the show. About 100 yards away from the cars was an airfield, upon which were parked examples of all eras of flight, including a 1952 Moran Saulnier 315, 1936 Percival Mughal and the 1937 de Havilland 90 Dragonfly with the engines mounted very efficiently on the forward side of the wheel spats. There was even a Spitfire. The winner was the Moran Saulnier. A dogfight in the skies above the Concours between the Spitfire and a Messerschmitt 109 was won, we presume, by the Spitfire. Tally-ho. The Friday before the two-day concours saw the 51-mile Heveningham tour of Concours cars parading through the Suffolk countryside. And it was all held as an ancillary event next of the long-standing country fair, also held on the estate grounds. The fair features everything from old-timey farm equipment demonstrations to dogs herding ducks. As Alex Eastoe wrote in Classic Driver, is there another place on earth you can ogle a Ferrari 250 GTO, watch a Spitfire dog fighting a Messerschmitt and pet a pygmy goat in the same day? No, there is not. Until next year, then. Thank you for watching our video. Please give us a big like, subscribe to our channel for new videos every day with amazing cars. Leave us your opinion in the comment section on the video. Thank you.